See how we go. Hey.
Hello, welcome to Friday night. It's a mayhem, a left, right, and center. Chris joining me. Got the COVID household and an unhappy influenza B as well.
Yeah, loving it. Loving life, guys. Just been sick at home literally all week, so haven't been able to do much. And this little kiddo has been in the wars, and yeah, so it's been real fun. So we're trying to get through the week, but we'll see how we go. And I'm just jumping on, obviously, 20 minutes until we see the Brownlow medalist start doing his thing. I'm not talking about Marcus Bontempelli
Oh,
either.
Dacos. I was like, I'm more excited to see Pendlebury get the most disposals ever, to be honest.
I really hope the cheer squad do something with that. I hope that they go.
They need to
I don't
stand
know,
and
like a
applaud for like a
standing
minute.
ovation for like like that would be great. Like on possession 14, like just get it done.
Yeah.
It'd be a clanger led to a goal or something stupid, but whatever. Who cares?
Everyone just charge the field. It
I
should be
didn't
like
know
a
he was that.
buddy moment.
I didn't know he was that close. Hey, it was very very weird. So yeah, good on him.
I mean, he's
getting
just been
in.
around for like ever. So,
Yeah, but
that's
like
pretty much where it's at.
Rob Harvey's like, I just remember him getting like 35, 40 touches like every game for like forever. And Pendles hasn't done that. Like he's had like a high, what I think his career average must be like 25, 26-ish disposals, but I suppose games played. Not a lot of players play their entire career in a midfield like he has. Like you think like Boomer Harvey, for example, he obviously was, mid forward type. He probably would have averaged maybe 18, 19 disposals a game, So I get it. But yeah, it's I just didn't even contemplate it. So
Wow. Speaking of not contemplating, I did not think Ziebell would not be announced, and to make it worse, he's sub.
Yeah, no,
You got off him.
I saw him on the extended interchange bench, and I was like, "There's no way he's playing." Like as soon as because he's never on the extended bench. Like I was like, "It's going to be a late out, or it's going to be a Friday afternoon. He's out." I didn't think that for sure, but you don't have him, which does help. But I think he's only in 15% of the top 1%.
Yeah, but well, that's not me. But what hurts the most is I could have sideways traded him to Sinclair like weeks ago, and he's cost me points. And Sinclair's gone on an absolute heater. I could have sideways trade them. Now they're 100K apart. I can only afford a Dale down, and that's it in one trade.
And Dale's rough because
Johannesson's
like coming back. When is it? Next week or something
next
like that?
week, and then you've got Richards back this week, which is an absolute crazy. So
We're
Richards
free!
back this week, JJ back next week. He's free. Yeah, so that's not a good trade. I'm 3K short of Doherty.
Yeah.
Plus side is that I could have got Lloyd last week, but I wanted to wait. And then after Fife injury, I was like, oh, Fife's not going to be good cover. So I was like, I now need money to go Fife to Mills. So I ended up bringing in Sard instead of Lloyd. So in the end, I kind of got lucky that, Lloyd will be out next week, but I'm in a real pickle.
So before you explain your pickle, I want your opinion on the Dunkley injury. So did you see the little snippet that Maria's Magic put up, which was basically from the Dunks and Ads podcast, which is quite a good poddy, I like to say. But yeah, he discussed him getting subbed and the calf injury itself and what it is. And it definitely didn't sound like a corky. It sounded more like he's done a calf, which can be a 1 to 2 week injury anyway, and like that's fine. So that means, what do you do? He said that he's never done that before, which lends me to believe. I'm now really hesitant because this could be a Oliver situation where he might not necessarily miss as much time as Oliver, obviously, but it could be like he comes back and doesn't impact the game like he has been. And now all of a sudden, instead of averaging 120 or 125 like he has been, he's averaging 105 or 100. In which case, am I better off just going straight to Butters or something like that and just, grabbing the points this week from Butters
and
in addition to what I can do from him? Like, take your pick. He's had the ball.
Butters and cash. I'll jump into this part. So the good thing with Dunkley is that Yeah, you could definitely free up a little bit of cash as well, which is the positive side. I mean, even from Dunkley to Took, you could free up nearly, 90K, which is crazy. And Butters, you free up about,
Yep.
what is it, 75, 80K. You could definitely
For
do a
those
lot
of
with
us
that.
with only one trade, buddy, the money doesn't really matter. It's like,
So yeah, that's true. See, I've got the trades a little bit, but the situation is I've already used one on Mills this week because that's already now been locked in. So I've got Ziebell and Dunkley, and Ziebell's probably going to be, he is sub. So that means he's the priority because he could just drop cash. So I'm forced to kind of sit on Dunkley anyway for a week.
yeah.
But it does sound like even Fagan came out saying that they're not going to risk him anyway. So it does look like it could definitely be a 2-weeker. They said he might get up. However, they're not going to risk him at all. So if it's anywhere touch and go, it sounds as though he'll be 2 weeks out.
Well,
And
2
that
weeks
makes sense as
doesn't
well.
really hurt me anyway because I'll get Himmelberg to cover next week. So that's not really too much of an issue because the only reason I'm copying a donut this week is because I don't have Sicily, right? So Sicily down in this whole system that I had, which is great. I have midfield cover, and I just needed one emergency from a forward or forward mid or forward in my or defender in my team to be able to cover anyone. Nah, none named. Just hold on.
He's in a pickle.
I need. Yeah, so I've contemplated. Yeah, obviously with the one trade. The thing is, I'm actually projected a very good score regardless of the Dunkley injury. So I'm actually just considering stuff it. I might just hold the 0. I'm probably only going to be. I think. Like, what's your projected this week?
Oh,
Do you know?
Who cares about such a thing
Well,
anymore?
no, I
No,
know, but like
I don't know.
my projected's pretty good. So I'm still projected 24, 25, 57.
That's not bad.
So yeah, so like if everything goes according to plan, I still should bump 2,500, which, and I'm looking at like our leagues, which is a pretty competitive league, and I'm one of the higher projections. So I'm considering like, okay, that's including a 0. So, how does my team shape up without that 0? It doesn't look too bad. So I'm thinking that maybe Ziebell as well is this is the time. If other people are going to be copying 0s anyway because they've got Ziebell, or they might cop a sub score, or they're playing more rookies on field. A lot of people are playing Marich on field for Dunkley, which is why they're not necessarily getting that huge bump or whatever it may be. So it might just be the play to just take the 0 this week and then recover and keep that trade for a longer term injury, or just balls to the wall and just trade him out to Butters
See,
or
there's
whatever
still
it may
7
be.
rounds to go, so I think you are better off trying to keep the one
Yeah,
trade
I
if you have
agree.
it. Whereas I've
Yep.
got, I think I've got 4 trades left. So I was going to make the one to Mills and have 3 remaining, but
Yep.
now it looks like I have to kind of get a little bit creative. Also, speaking of bloody Nankervis, looks like he'll get suspended for knocking out Lloyd. So that's another issue that people are going to have next week, him missing a week. So they at least get a little bit of time to think about what they're going to do. And that's pretty much
He's
where we're at
gone,
last
mate.
week.
3-4 weeks.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And I end up having to change and alter with the whole Fife injury. I then went for the cheaper option to free up cash and went Mills. Obviously, that's now locked in. So I'm in this weird position where I'm like, I don't like Dale. He's all I could kind of afford, unless it's Himmelberg. And I do like Himmelberg for keeping up that flexibility because that's what Ziebell did bring me. It gave me cover and defense because he was one of the only people that could actually give me cover. So Shiesel went from forward into defense, but now I don't have any other defense if there's an injury. So what I am thinking is there's 2 ways to go about it. Number one, I had originally gone 5 to Mills. I've now gone Ziebell to basically brought Fife back in. So I've gone Ziebell, traded out, bring Fife back in. So basically Mills is already in the side, so that I can't change. Now, what it does allow me is I can actually see Marek and see if he scores well. If he goes a 60 or a 70, like Lord forbid he might just go and do well, then it actually allows me to sit for a week. I'll take that score. Dunkley can then play on that. So 5 can actually be the loophole for that. Ziebell's gone. And then what it does allow me is I can actually sit there next week with the DPPs will hit. If Walsh gets DPP, then all of a sudden I can try and bring in a mid for 532. I could sit for a week and get Tuke Miller if he does drop. It gives me time to watch Dunkley if he's in, and I can actually assess those options still with 3 trades up my sleeve. Now, the other option I think is a little bit more aggressive where I go, right, So Sheasel goes into defense. Ziebell becomes Himmelberg. I've now got 120,000 up my sleeve. And then in a couple of weeks' time, I'm hoping like a Hewitt or someone like that can get up to 200 and something thousand from West Coast or Marich or whoever. Someone gets up to 200 or so. I've got 120K and trying to go from them to Jezza Cameron in one trade. So that way I could actually have Himmelberg and Jezza Cameron as two loophole options, and then I can loophole Sheasel, I can loophole Darcy Cameron, I can loophole Mills. Basically, it's Mills, HH, and Jezza for one spot, and then I can still have flexibility, still with two trades up my sleeve. So I think that's probably not the worst idea.
No, I think it's great for this year for sure. I think there's definitely a lot of merit with having an extra premium in each line if you can. I mean, but usually. We've had the luxury. We've had good cash gen this year, generally speaking. And we've had
for those that got on it, yeah,
it's been great. We've had some good premiums as well that have popped up, and you've got a little bit of trade. So I think that's totally worth being able to do that. Now, I might just hit the pause button, guys. We've got 9 minutes to kick off. VC and C this week, buddy, because there's 3 very, very good captain options, I believe, and I think we should all probably approach them. Who are you going this week?
I thought it was easy. I'm going, I think, Bontempelli into Lockie Neal.
Yeah, I think Neal is the easiest one. The one tonight is going to be between Bont and Dacos. So,
but I think Bont's ceiling is higher than Dacos, in my opinion.
Don't agree. I think. Well, don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, he's got more runs on the board, but Dacos had 2 160 pluses last year. He has had 4 or 5 150s or 145 pluses this year. So he's got the 145 plus potential quite easily. He hasn't shown the 160 plus just yet because there just hasn't been don't get me wrong. I think there was a game where he had 30 and kicked 3, right? And in that game, he only got 125. And I was just like, dude,
is that against Lions, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. He was robbed, absolutely robbed. But I just want to go through with you the round, the last few weeks in terms of defenders against dogs. So last week
is he even in defense though? I guess. Oh, hang on though, because I guess now you've got Tagoe.
Yeah,
and if he plays up in the midfield against the dogs' midfield, I think Libba will probably just absolutely smack him.
I think that they will get enough benefit because they're not going to tag him. I think they'll get enough benefit from him at halfback. They won't need to worry about throwing him in the midfield, but he'll get a little bit of mid-time. But Brennan Cox got 139, Jordan Clark 106, Young 100, Ryan 97, all in the same game. That was last week. The week before, we have dogs. I know they had the bye. Week before that, they had North, and Sheasel went 103. Scott had 20, but he only had 79. Where's Jay-Z in this? Is this the one where Jay-Z hit the wall? Yeah, he only had the 68. So Sheasel there. So the accumulator seems to be getting quite a lot. The week before that, around Essendon. Okay, Ridley went 102 with 21 touches and 9 there. Even Nick Martin, I know he's on a bit of a heater, but he had 129 from the wing there.
Sounds like you're clutching at straws here late, Chris.
No. They've all been good, man. There's just all good things. Oh, here we go. Gold Coast. There we go. Charlie Ballard went 97 against the Dogs. So it seems to be that there's always one defender that generally goes well. Now what's happened with the Pies that I'll touch on as well is that Jeremy Howe coming in has basically killed Darcy Moore in terms of his scoring potential because he's now the intercept defender and he's taking a lot of kickouts. So Darcy Moore's average is coming right down and his scoring ability is a little bit down. But Jeremy Howe's obviously come in. He's actually had a couple of half decent scores out of his return games. But yeah, I think you'll definitely see Nick Dacos with a big one tonight. Don't mind it at all. So yeah, into Neal, I think is the logical choice. But I think if you were to go VC, one of the guys tonight, and then Captain Neal, that's the obvious one. If you really want to go left wing,
if you don't have Neal,
then
Bond VC.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, who doesn't have Neal?
There'll be a few people.
There are. No.
So Lloyd also bounces back quite strongly.
Yeah, Lloyd bounces back quite well. Merritt's on an absolute heater, and I don't know how much attention he's going to be giving anyone anymore, because it doesn't look like he's locking anyone down so much as just playing midfield and going and finding the ball, which is absolutely awesome. Last week he had like no CBAs and kicked 3 goals and got 120 whatever.
Yeah, ridiculous.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, Butters against the Suns. You could go.
Yeah, but as a straight out captain,
against,
though, probably more VC on those.
Yeah, I mean, like Petraka against the Saints. If you've got him,
I think Petraka or Laird, probably one of those two. To be honest, is probably where I go.
I like Laird as a bounce back game. To be completely honest, yeah. I wouldn't mind either of those at all. So yeah, but I mean, most people have. If you really want to go left wing, you could try and VC him and try and take a late captain as a backup, VC Neil and try to snake a score that way and try to hedge against the guys tonight. I'm not sure that's really a great play, but the thing with Bont, Collingwood have been giving up a lot of midfield points of late, but they've generally been harder to score against this year. So what happens this week is anyone's guess. I'm definitely going Nick Dacos for what it's worth. And you are going Bont, so it'll be the Bont versus the Nick Dacos show.
I was going to say I should follow you because you've had better runs for me, but I just think Bont and Neil will probably be the most two popular in my opinion. So that's pretty much where I am really keen to see these DPPs next week. I hope Walsh and Gawn actually make it through, which would be lovely for me. Because if I have an injury, I could bugger Gawn off to the forward line. It'd be lovely. Speaking Geelong strong, I do like Chera. My concern is the ankle, but it could be like Dacos last year where he just happened to have reduced minutes at training, but then come out and play well. So there is that option there. I don't mind him. I still think Walsh is a really good price point. Yeah, Sarong. So Chera. Oh, no, I like Sarong. Chera I don't like. Sorry.
No. I don't mind Chera. He's very unique, but I mean, he's
been good.
Here's the thing with Chera. Why get him when Libba's right there for the same price? That doesn't make any sense to me.
He's on a heater. I'd rather get Walsh or Cripps. I just think because of value price.
Try and target the value.
Yeah, I think
Chera's not hurting anyone.
And I'd go Libba too.
He's going all right. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I even
ripped on Libba, but he's the one. He's a very good pick, and I do.
Or Track, Libba or Track, they're all the same price, roughly the same price, right?
Yep, I'd definitely go there. All right, I think that's pretty much a nice little hit it and quit it. I will do up my team pod next week. I was trying to do it this week. The Thursday night game really kind of throws it off a little bit with the turnaround. And Chris has been off with COVID. Swizz has been dabbling.
B kind of hits you in the face a little bit, guys.
Swizz has been dabbling his toes with the recordings out of Victoria, absolutely killing it. We shared it earlier this week as well, getting with I think Joe and some of the centre bounce boys and a few other bits and people as well. So check that out as well. It shows what happens when you live in Victoria, hey. And Binger as well, mate. Shout out to you as well. Binger, we probably could have just had you on.
I might be down there for the Supercoach thing later this month. Later in August, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, the Dr. Supercoach side of things, but I am keen to make it down there at some point. But look, that is us just before the bounce. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know if you've got Lloyd or Ziebell or all of the above with Dunkley and Sicily. There has to be someone with Clary, Dunkley, Sicily, so much. Ziebell has to be someone with like 5 of those guys for sure. So if that is you, we feel your pain. And look, go for the bounce tonight. We'll talk to you soon. Any questions, just shout us out on Twitter where we are probably most active. And we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Bye.